Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. We are an online and on-the-ground community. For now, all our services are virtual, broadcast on Sundays at 9 a.m. on Facebook and at 11 a.m. on YouTube. My name is Marjorie Wormser, and I have the honor to serve on the worship arts team with our senior minister, Reverend Allison Miller, and our ministerial intern, Charles Laughlin. Welcome to our community of inspiration, connection, and service. If you're new here, we hope to meet you soon.
Marty, hold the light up, okay?
We light this chalice because we are Unitarian Universalists. The fellowship of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands. Together we take care of the earth and bring peace and justice into the world.
This morning's service theme is the value of play. We will explore how play helps us grow physically, emotionally, spiritually, and more. Let's explore beyond the view that play is a frivolous activity or a reward reserved for after completing all of our work and our household chores. In truth, play can be so much more. Play is an integral element to our health and well-being, no less essential to our sustenance than air, water, food, safety, and love. Play can also be elegantly simple. Child psychiatrist Dr. Bruno Bettelheim wrote, "Child plus object equals toy." To that, I would add that any of us at any age can find the joys and enrichment of play within arm's reach. And now, let's share a journey of play.
Somebody come and play. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come and smile the smiles and sing the songs. It won't take long. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come and play. Somebody come and play my way. Somebody come and rhyme the rhymes and laugh the laughs. It won't take time. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come with me and see the pleasure in the wind. Somebody come before it gets too late to begin. Somebody come and play. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come and be my friend and watch the sun till it rains again. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come and play. Somebody come and play my way. Somebody come and rhyme the rhymes and laugh the laughs. It won't take time. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come with me and see the pleasure in the wind. Somebody come before it gets too late to begin. Somebody come and play. Somebody come and play today. Somebody come and be my friend and watch the sun till it rains again. Somebody come and play today.
I have a story for you today, and it's called Rocks a Boxin'. Marion called it Rocks a Boxin'. She always knew the names of these places. There across the road looked like a normal place. Sand, rocks, some cacti, but it was a special place. The street between Rocks a Boxin' and the houses curved like a river. So Marion called it River Road. When you went down River Road, you then had to ford a real river to get to Rocks a Boxin'. Of course, all of Marion's sisters came. Betty Jean, Little Jane, Annalie, Charles from next door, even though he was 12. Oh, and Eleanor, naturally, and her little brother Paul. Now they were the first, but only the first. Others came later. But they weren't really the first. They couldn't have been the first to discover Rocks a Boxin'. Rocks a Boxin' must have been here with people for a long time before they came. Marion dug up a box. It was full of precious stones. Clearly, they had been currency in Rocks a Boxin'. You could find them everywhere. Some days they went on adventures to find as many as they could, and some days they were just lying there where you could just pick them up. A town of Rocks a Boxin' began to grow. It was lined with stones. White stones around each house, and each house had tables and chairs and beds, all made out of boxes. There was space for everybody in Rocks a Boxin', and everyone got to make their own house. Later on, there was a town hall, and Marianne, she was the mayor. No one minded, that's just how she was. After a while, they added other streets, and Frances built herself a house. It was round and decorated with sea glass and amethyst, green shards, sparkly white shards, blue shards, all the way around. She had a house of jewels. And because everybody had so much money, there were a lot of shops. Jeanne had an ice cream shop, and so did Paul. Who had the best ice cream? They couldn't tell. People kept trying both. You could eat as much ice cream as you want in Rocks a Boxin'. Everyone had a car. All you needed was something round for a steering wheel. Of course, if you broke the speeding limit, you'd go to jail. May, little quiet Anna May, was always breaking the speed limit. I think she rather liked going to jail. But if you had a horse, and all you needed was a stick and a bridle, you could go wherever you wanted and as fast as you wanted. Horses don't have speed limits, and they don't have to stick to the roads. Sometimes there were wars. One time there was a war between the boys and the girls, and Marianne was one of the generals and Paul was the other. They fought for a long time, the boys on the west end dressed up like bandits, and the girls on the east end dressed up like scouts. You had to chase each other, but when you got to base, you were safe. Sometimes in the winter when the weather was cold, no one came to Rocks a Boxin' for months and months at a time. But don't worry, Rocks a Boxin' was still there, waiting, and when the spring came and all the buds blossomed, it was ready to have all the children come back again. And every summer, a new shop, a new house, a new street was added to Rocks a Boxin'. And so it went. Season by season and year by year. Rocks a Boxin' was always there. The years went by and the seasons went by until all the friends had grown tall and one by one, they moved away. You might think that this is the end of Roxaboxen, but you'd be wrong. Roxaboxen was still there. Marianne told her children and her grandchildren about Roxaboxen. As she tucked them into bed each night, she told them all about the bakery and the ice cream shop, the big wars and the celebrations. Each night, they would go to sleep and dream of Roxaboxen. Grey-haired Charles slip a hand in his pocket and pull out one of the special stones and remember Roxaboxen. Frances went back to Roxaboxen 50 years later to see if it was still there, and it was. She went to go and see her house of jewels, and it was shining just as bright, with amethyst, sea glass, green and sparkling, all around. For Roxaboxen will never go away. It stays whenever you remember how you played and lived in childhood, and however you play and live today.
He could be my bestest friend, he could sleep with me at night. He would eat out of my hand, but he wouldn't ever bite. And if one of those older kids started a fight, he'd chase that kid up a tree. I would teach him little tricks, we would practice every day, and no matter when it was, he would always want to play. If the cops needed somebody frightened away, we'd frighten them for free. My alligator and me. Then I would wash him with the hose, careful round his nose, and I'd have to walk him nightly. Soon he'd be bigger than a bus. Folks would look at us, cross the street, and smile politely. I would tell him what I think, he would never ever tease. He'd be smart as Rin Tin Tin and as strong as Hercules. He would sit by the table and eat all my peas, a trick nobody would see. One tiny little growl and the grown-ups would behave. They would treat me like a person instead of like a slave. Just imagine the princesses he'd help me save, and kingdoms we'd explore. That's what alligators are for. He'd sure impress the kids at camp, wrestle like a champ, swim as good as any whale can. He'd hit me baseballs with his tail, run to fetch the mail, sometimes even fetch the mailman. We would live on chocolate cake and stay up till 2:30. When you're riding on a gator, parents don't talk back to you. And that cool stuff they never let little kids do, we do it fearlessly. My alligator, I'd love him so. See you later, and off we go, my alligator and me.
Good morning, friends. My name is Dr. Sandra Van Nest, and I want to talk to you a little bit about play today. On a walk recently, I came upon a cradle, a doll's cradle that was about this big and made out of wood. It was really beautiful. And someone had left it on the end of their driveway as an invitation to the neighborhood to pick it up and use it in some way. And my first thought was that I should use it for work, because my job is that of a child psychotherapist. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about play and playing with children, and so having a doll cradle works very well. But I pretty quickly went to a place where, I'd rather plant something in this. And I know that sounds a little bit kooky, but I will own that in this time of pandemic and instability of pandemic and uncertainty of pandemic, I have found a lot of comfort and solace in my garden and plants specifically. And so I was so just enchanted by the idea of creating a moss garden kind of little planter thing for my office probably, with this doll cradle. And as I, continued to think about it, I continued on my walk and I just spent some time thinking about that. I realized that I wanted to use it as a way to talk to you all about the human experience of play, because I think it's a really good example of that. Play for us as adults is a stress reliever, it's a problem solver, it's an organizer. Those things are all true from the time that we were young children, but sometimes we forget along the way. Something about growing up facilitates us forgetting that. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about the idea of just tuning into it a little bit to find the wisdom of childhood and what you knew before. Because bottom line is, play from a psychological perspective is a thing that gives you the uninterrupted interpsychic space to be. That's very fancy schmancy talk for I have time to think about whatever I want to think about without somebody else telling me what I should think about. Play also is this physical thing, right? I'm walking and I'm thinking and I'm carrying this heavy cradle, and in that there's an integration of mind and body and soul and imagination, and I think that is all amazing and beautiful. And from a spiritual place, what I think is amazing is the fact that when I'm doing all of these things that are on the outside, what happens to my body is a reaction. There's an impact on the neurophysiology of a human when they are playing and when they're integrating all of those things. That's a lot of words to say that our nervous systems are impacted and we are more able to regulate ourselves because of the benefits of playing. And so when I think back on my walk, and what I really want to come across to you all as my community, I want to say to you that we can absolutely think about play as a productive thing. I burned calories and I gained muscles. Or we could think of it as a community thing. I talked to people and I looked at birds and I connected. We could think of it as mindfulness or repurposing. I spent time in my own mind and I felt gratitude over the fact that I found this cradle and I have something new that I can do with it. But all of that doesn't really matter. I don't care what framework you have for it. What I want to say to you is that play and the ability to play is the opposite of anxiety. And it's a tool to manage depression. When we play, we are connected to ourselves, our bodies, our community, and our earth. It's an amazing thing it's already there. You just have to open yourself up to it. I want to invite you into a place where you can court delight. I want you to be delighted. I want you to notice in yourselves the things that make you curious, the things that bring you delight. And notice that is play. That's adult play. And just like there are many different kinds of bodies, and bodies need different things, play is different, and that's okay. So we don't need to judge it. We don't need to judge ourselves or each other. We just have to do it, and we get to do it, and that's lovely. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jeanne Kraft. Children play. It is what they do. It is in their nature. It is in the nature of adults too, but sometimes we forget. I'm a pediatrician and I take care of sick kids in the hospital. Their inherent drive to play, it reveals itself even when children are sick and can be helpful in figuring out what is making them sick and also helpful in helping them heal. You may think it's difficult to examine a child who doesn't feel well. It may seem impossible to get information from a small person who can't explain what they're experiencing. You're right, this is a challenge. Play can help establish trusting relationships and encourage children to do things that could be simply requested of others. If I hand them a toy, I can observe the little details in how they watch it, grab it, manipulate it, listen to it, and hand it back, or not. I can watch them breathe and watch for fatigue or signs of pain. Play works for children of all ages, including adolescents. The story they tell with their trucks or dolls or drawings is a window into what they are experiencing and worried about. A drawing with a lot of red, think blood, and black sharp teeth, think fear and pain, may come from a child who won't or can't tell you with words what they are feeling. And when a play acting becomes gentle and happy, and when the drawings are full of smiling faces, that can tell you a lot too. Play can be therapeutic. If you've had surgery, deep breathing is a great way to fend off problems like pneumonia. I might ask a teenager to take 10 deep breaths every hour after their operation. For a 4-year-old, I'll bring out the bubbles and the pinwheels for them to blow. It's easy to forget just how fun bubbles are, but it does take a bit of breathing work to get good ones. Drawing or banging on a drum or crashing toy cars can be a way for kids to vent their frustration in a therapeutic way. Their pent-up energy can find an outlet. Sometimes I learn things when I play with the children I serve. One of the first video games I played was with a 4-year-old patient. "Do you want to play?" she said as she handed me the second console. "Sure," I said as I reached for it. After all, how hard can it be if a 4-year-old can do it? She showed me the knob that made the little man move, and the game was on. After several minutes, where it was clear that her understanding of the game and skill far outpaced mine, she asked innocently, with a bit of mischief in her eye, "Why aren't you making him jump?" "He can jump?" I replied. She thought that was quite funny. Lesson learned: 4-year-olds often know more than they let on. Taking care of critically ill and injured children is not easy. It can be horrific. But the secret that keeps my whole team going is that most of the time we can help kids get better so that we have a little time to play with them before they go home. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jerry Weinstein, and I'm a docent at the Turtleback Zoo in nearby West Orange, New Jersey. I'm a member of the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship, and I'm a grandpa. As you saw in the videos, we need look no further than nature to understand that play is important to nearly every species of mammal on the planet, and a number of birds as well. It's how they learn how the planet and their environment works. At the zoo, we provided the animals in our care with enrichment objects because we know that play is, for many species, of lifelong value. Ever since the before times, the time before we changed how all of us were to be together in society, teachers and our communities have been especially focused on the educational challenges of this pandemic. In addition, children have had a significant reduction in the quality and the time of their playing together. Kids especially need to play as a way to learn how the world works. How to follow rules, take turns, cooperate, and importantly, use their imagination. So is there anything we can do to help? As a sage of my parents' time, Sam Levinson put it, the simplest toy, one that even the youngest child can play with, is a grandparent. And by the way, grandparent is only a title. Anybody can play this role. By the way, playing with kids is another one of those things in life where you actually get more by giving. And play isn't just for kids. It's just as important for me and you, too. So anyway, what's it like for my wife and I as grandparents? For one thing, we don't need TV and video games to entertain our grandkids, though I have to admit, we all have a weakness for Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep when circumstances and weather require it. We sing songs and write songs together, silly songs. We even dance. We go exploring, swimming, fishing. We kick balls and throw frisbees and do projects together. We solve puzzles. We build and deconstruct towns and railways and then build them up again. We talk over Messenger when we can't be together. We invent our own toys and games using found objects. We even have fun while they help us clean. A little bit of trickery there. We dress up or down. We wear funny hats and make recipes together. There are so many possibilities for you and for them to have fun and to play. So if you're lucky enough to have grandkids nearby, keep on playing with them. And if they're not nearby, try to figure out ways to do it with Zoom and Messenger and other online tools. But once again, remember that grandparent is only a title. So if you're not officially a parent or a grandparent, maybe you can help some parents in your community with safe activities for their children. Grandparenting, it turns out, is mostly about play. And you know what? Anybody can do it and should do it. Thank you for listening.
You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta play when the Spirit says play. You gotta play when the Spirit says play. When the Spirit says play, you gotta play, oh Lord. You gotta play when the Spirit says play. 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 You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
We are so glad to have you with us today. If you are with us on a Sunday morning, you are also invited to join us for a virtual BYO coffee hour on Zoom. You'll find all the details at www.muuf.org/virtual. At that same link, you will also find all of the activities that go on during the week, including our classes, gatherings, and other events. We look forward to see you there. Playtime and being playful are essential components for our humanity. While the act of play takes different forms at various stages of life, common elements foster each individual's humanity as well as our role in the interdependent web of life. So go forth in the spirit of play. Play fair. Play to your heart's delight.